and watch OBS for a minute. I'm looking at this drop frames percentage. I just set the video bitrate down a little bit again. Let's call Hannah. So it's not dropping any frames. Which, hey, Hannah.
Hello.
Hey, so I just set the video bitrate down to see if we can get the stream to perform a little bit better. I think we're on the right track. So in this session, it'll take us probably 25, 20, 30 minutes. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll set up Node on a Windows environment for the second bot we're going to create. I kind of did it out of order because we're going to do the first bot in Python. However, let's get both of the environments set up, and we'll move forward. So again, we're doing Node inside of Windows. So have you ever set up Node before, Hannah?
No, I haven't.
Okay, and let me share my screen again. Sorry. So basically, we'll talk about the advantages of Node and Python here in a little bit in the live stream. But basically, Node doesn't come packaged in either Windows or most Linux variants, so you'll have to download it. The process is different for each, but in future videos, I'll show you how to get Node inside of Linux, as well as Python inside of Windows. Most Linuxes do ship with a version of Python. It just might not work with whatever you're trying to accomplish. Can you see my screen, Hannah?
Not now.
No, you can't.
Sure.
How about now?
Not yet.
It says it should be sharing. There could be a delay too. Let me know if you can see it here in a sec. And let me know too, Paytar, how the stream is.
Not yet.
Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on with Skype. I'll call you back. Or actually, if you could call me, that'd be great.
I'll call you then.
Thanks. So we'll just let him call us back and see if we can get the screen share to work. I did want him to actually be on the screen share. The live stream. Okay, so let's see if I can share screen. How's that?
Loading, yeah. Now
Okay, brilliant. Good stuff. Temporary issue. Got it resolved. So here I am in Windows. You can see my virtual machine here.
Yes.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and search node install Windows. Good enough. First one is download nodejs.org. Sounds good. Doesn't sound like a scam. It's got a Windows installer, which sounds great. Again, the process is much different for Linux because you have to download the binaries. I think there's a source you can use that'll do it for you, but there's a whole different process. So again, my Linux, or rather, both of my platforms here, Linux and Windows, have a couple of different things already installed, like the Chrome browser, as well as Notepad++ in Windows, or Sublime Text in Ubuntu. So it's good to have a text editor. For instance, if I don't know, if I do some kind of language here that's unique to Python, like def function, for instance, which is just how to define a function named function. If I then save that file as python.py somewhere that's useful, for instance, I really want to clone a GitHub repo we're going to use for this project, but if I just make a folder right now for this file. Actually, we want to do Node anyway first, don't we, in Windows? So let's try that. So we want to do something specific to Node. Let's try function test. Anyway, if I save this file as app.js, the text editor is going to be smart enough to notice the file extension and actually format our lines of code here and highlight them in colors that are useful. It's going to do a whole bunch of different things that are very useful. There's actually tools and plugins you can add that make it even more useful. For instance, debugging in the editor. All that stuff is possible using these advanced text tools. So again, there's Notepad++ in Windows. What do you use normally to format text and do code when you try the Python?
This is the same one you're using right now. I got recommended one time.
Oh yeah,
So, yes.
that's good. There's also like actual I don't know what the word stands for, but IDEs that you can use that let you edit interactive something editor. Anyway, there's actually suites that you can use that'll let you have the executable for Python or Node within the editor and debug stuff. So you can actually set line breaks and things to do advanced debugging. We won't really do so much of that because I like to kind of program on the fly and run the program and see what kind of issues it has, rather than debugging and going through the debug tracer. A lot of people find that's madness. A lot of people think you should write tests before you do code. But really, as somebody who's learned this all by the seat of his pants, I have a very certain approach to it, and it might take a lot more time in the long run. I could actually be convinced to do more testing. I could be convinced to use the debugger if I really knew how or did enough research on how to figure it out. That said, I have in the past used debuggers in class and for my own projects, as well as extensive tests, which serve as like a guideline for how to use the program that you've written. And I've actually used, and we'll find out actually from one of the libraries we're going to use here with Node, which I'll look up right now. It's called Trendyways. It actually doesn't have any documentation on how to use it, really. But what it does have, when you install it, it comes along with, if you look at it in GitHub, which is probably over here, somewhere over here, maybe it is, GitHub. When you look at this code, you'll see that it doesn't have very much documentation. Like the wiki says it contains up-to-date information, but it actually doesn't have anything in there. So what my point was, sometimes people will write code and not document it very well. Like you'll see in here, there's no examples of how to use it. There's no guidelines. But there's this folder called tests, and inside the test folder we have a whole bunch of different things that we could possibly achieve. So I think, for instance, for our Momentum's price strategy, I think it'll be here in this averages test. I haven't looked yet, but let's see if it is. It shows you exactly what to include, exactly what kind of code to use to accomplish certain things. So what it's going to do is it's going to use this assert requirement in Node to make sure that here's the moving average. This is what we're looking for. No, we want momentum. By the way, momentum is an actual function within this suite, and it should actually act close to how the moving average works. Either way, we'll assert by running this code and using the assert requirement here that the result of these functions is what we provided, which is the correct values here. So when we run this code, if I was to run this test, it'll actually just say, hey, all of this stuff is right. It's what we expected to see. And you can actually reverse engineer from the tests how to use all of the functions of a particular software suite, which is a major benefit of doing it. So I think I've installed Node here because the installer went away. So let's see if that's the case. And we'll figure out how to use Momentum, I guarantee it. What do I want to do here? What I want to do is I want to install Git, and Hannah has dropped. I wonder why, if I still have a connection. It says I'm streaming. Hello?
Yeah, the call dropped.
That's okay. And it should be sharing my desktop now, I think. So where was I? I was in Windows. What I wanted to do is I wanted to install Git next for our sandbox environment here. Git install Windows. I did create a GitHub repository for this project, which we'll use across platforms. So I think we have what's going on here? Oh, it's already starting. I think we have Node, and we can actually find out by running node-v. And there we go. We have a version of Node. If I do npm, which is the Node package manager, which is how we install our additional packages like Trendyways. We'll do it here in a sec. We'll see that we also have a version of npm, which means it's successfully installed on Windows, and that's the first step. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to grab Git here as soon as it downloads. And Hannah, do you mind if I have this information, these repos on my public GitHub?
Which information?
The final code.
For the momentum strategy?
Yeah, for the momentum strategy on BitMex.
Yes.
So we can have it, or you do mind?
You can have it.
Okay, sounds good. So actually, this is not giving me the information that I want to see on the, and I don't have it up anymore. All right, so what we're going to do is while it's downloading Git, actually Git finally downloaded. Oh, it's because I'm not signed in, I think. Let's try to, actually, I can just close this. Oh, there's Git. Git. Yay. Can you still see my screen, Hannah? Are you still there, Hannah? Hello? 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 Peter, can you still hear me on the live stream? Hello? If anybody can hear me, send me a note on the live stream from the viewers. Also, if you're in here, or if you view this project later, in the sequential occurrence of time, if you just want to give me the gold subscribe button, I will be streaming this and other projects for the foreseeable future. This is a lot of fun, and I think that I'm going to have a solid career here. And oh, there goes Hannah. Hello, everybody. Hello, Hannah. Is there anybody around? Is there anybody around? Let's see. Hello.
Yes.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to initialize our GitHub repository here. If I can figure out how to paste. And then I gotta restart the screen share. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with Git. I don't really have to explain it, but it's going to help us share this project in the future as well as deploy it to Heroku, where we're going to run the bot when it's finally done. The next thing I want to do is add everything and commit it to the rehab, the Git repo rather, the rehab. So I got to do some stuff here. I got to do git config. -- global user.email Jared Harris done plus GitHub. I think that's my email. Git config -- global user.me Jared done. And we'll try those commands again. There we go. Yeah, we'll trust that key. Permission denied. All right, so I wonder why that happened. Let's start from the beginning, inside of the command prompt. So we're just having an issue with GitHub trying to push the repo. If it ends up being a very tough problem for me to fix, I won't be able to fix it during this live stream, but we will have the code on GitHub, at least for when we go live with the whoops. It's going to be a very confusing README, I think. At least when we go live with the bot. Otherwise, it'll be up here by the end of the project that we're live streaming. So there we go. Commit. I wonder if I should change this around. I wonder if I should change it to... Well, I don't want to put my GitHub password right here in the live stream either. So let's just try what it says. Remote origin already exists. All right, well, let's push to it. No. What I want to do is I want to del-r.git y and try it again. Git add. Whoops. Git init. Git add. Git commit -m. Anyway, the way that the Heroku, which we agreed to use for our deployment, because it's going to be faster than a local machine. It's going to be able to execute things more smoothly than a virtual machine on Google Cloud Compute or or elsewhere. It'll actually ask us when we set up the Heroku project to link our GitHub repository. We could also do it a couple of other different ways in case this Git gives me problems going forward. But we could actually use, for instance, the Heroku command line interface, which we might end up doing if this is not going to work. Permission denied public key. I'm pretty sure I could fix that, but I would have to put my password in plain text right on the live stream for my Git, which I don't really want to do. GitHub, rather. So we'll use the command line interface for Heroku instead. So let's just go over to Heroku, because this is all about setting up the environment, so we might as well get the connection to Heroku working already. I wonder what account I want to use, or what the password is. Nope. Nope. There we go. So inside of Heroku, let's see how many projects I have. Let's save this password. We don't have any apps yet, which is great. So let's create a new app. Let's call it BitMex. BitMex is not available. I wonder why. BitMex Momentum Bot, which is actually going to put this on site on. Do you know by chance where BitMex is located, where their servers would be, Hannah?
No, I don't have any idea.
Oh yeah, let's find out. BitMex location, because they have two different options, and we'll get a better ping and a better.
Don't suggest this yesterday, so you can register on the same server as they have, so maybe it goes fast, you know.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll create this app. Inside of here somewhere, it's going to tell me how to use Heroku CLI to upload a project. Install the Heroku CLI. So that's the first step. Heroku CLI Windows. We already have Node. We already have NPM. So we're just trying to get a connection to Heroku right now. We can't do it through GitHub, which is where I wanted to do it, and we will have it up on GitHub eventually once I can figure out the error. Which is probably pretty simple, or once I can get. I do know how to fix it actually once I'm off the live stream, because I can definitely do it by putting in my plain text password into the Git commands. I just don't really want to do that. So we're downloading Heroku here for Windows, and then we're going to need to close out the command prompts because it's going to change some path stuff. In the Windows environment to include the Heroku CLI. So we'll just need to refresh my connection to the profile there by reopening command prompt. You can also log out, log back in if that doesn't work, or restart the computer or virtual machine in this case. So right now we're just getting Heroku. So I wonder if anybody's talking to us on the live stream. Nope, but there's a whole bunch of people in here. Hi, everybody, including the moderator, and Cheek Chong Coin, and Miko Da 888, and Herizika 2345. Hello, everybody. I think my friend's in there too, because he was in one of the older streams, one of the test streams. The very first person actually to join was a good friend of mine, who I think has access, but I'm not sure. If not, by the end of the stream, we'll be able to get him an account on LiveEdu. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly. I don't know if Paytar wants to throw me a hint if it's called LiveEdu. LiveEdu. LiveEdu sounds better, doesn't it? This is taking a long time, but it will be done soon. Again, we're running 2 virtual machines and Skype and OBS to do the live stream. So it probably doesn't have that much CPU power left. And again, I'm sorry for the image within an image. I guess CPU is only at 27%, so that's not that bad. It's an i5 that I'm running, 7th gen, so it's a pretty good little processor. A lot of the memory is being used actually by these VMware instances, which have 3 gigs apiece. So basically, in my requirements, I hoped everybody was familiar with how to set up a virtual machine, how to get it started, if not all the way up and running. I might take a snapshot after we're done installing everything, because this is just taking a little bit more time than I expected. But by the time it's done, we will be able to use Heroku through the command line to connect to Heroku to upload our files. Which actually brings me to another point which we should cover while that's installing. On on one of my other repos that was connected to Heroku before, we're going to find a package.json file. And what that does is it tells the app container, in this case Heroku, what to do, what to install before trying to run the app or the source code. So what we'll do is we'll just copy one of my other GitHub repos package.json file, throw it in a new file, save it as package.json. We're going to go ahead and remove a whole bunch of these things that we don't need, like BitMex API node, SendGrid mail, body parser we'll keep just in case we use it in the future. I think we will. CCXT I think we'll use, which is a cross-platform library for crypto trading. I think we're going to use it to pull in the previous 12 candles of which I told Hannah in a brilliant discovery that I had about how to do this. We can pull in the previous 12 candles, the minutely candles, on launch. Even though CCXT is probably not the fastest to keep up with the candles and the new candles, we can load the whatever previous 12 there are when we run at runtime, which saves us actually the whole problem of having to run the app for 12 minutes on either Python or Node for it to catch up with itself and be able to do any math on the momentums that are involved. So I'm just going to remove some more stuff out of here that we don't need really. Node Binance API, path we'll keep just in case we want it. Polynax we don't need. Request we'll keep. SendGrid we don't need. So SendGrid is an email interface for apps. Favicons, although it's pretty cool, we don't really need it. System Sleep we'll keep in there in case we need it. And Trendyways again is actually the library, which we'll look up right now to see if there's an example of how to do momentum that we're using to do the indicators. So in here somewhere, it says right here, momentum. So we should see if there's a test here for momentum that's done out for us about how to use it. Otherwise, we'll have to figure out by what's going on, just install and stuff, I guess. We'll have to figure out by trial and error, and that's okay. Trial and error is okay. If we have to like copy the M8, the moving average function, and just type in momentum instead, I think that's probably going to do the trick. But I just want to have a look at these tests again here while we're indicators test. I wonder if that'll work. Volumes, values. Is there anything in here called momentum? There we go. So here's our momentum test, which we'll be able to copy, and we'll be able to duplicate the exact actions of the trading view script by just using this test here for momentum price indication indicator. So here we go. That's good news. And the way that TradingView works, let's go back to my desktop here and go back to TradingView. So the way the indicator works in TradingView, which we lost because I'm out of memory, I guess, is that it uses two different. The strategy that we're going to use is that it uses two different. I got to look up the indicator again. It uses two different momentums. One of them is based on the last 12 candles. In our case, we're going to use minutely candles because we want to do lots of trades over a short period of time. Is that working? Does that work? Momentum strategy. There we go. Couldn't compile script momentum. Oh, I guess I have it here twice. There we go. It's just taking a long time to load. So I don't need it twice. But if we go to the Pine editor, oh no. If we go to here and then, oh, it's actually gained a 100%, which is pretty cool since the last time we looked. Either way, it's going to take the length, which is the last 12 candles, which we're going to plug into our momentum strategy indicator with Trendyways for Node, which we're going to install by npm here in a sec in the folder once we get it synced to Heroku. So it takes the last 12 candles and throws it into one cat. I have a cat in my stream. She's a very nice kitty. I do love her. Either way, it's going to go ahead and create two momentum averages over the price, the current price, which is going to be the close of the last minutely candle, and the length, which is again 12 candles. Then the second momentum is going to get by doing the momentum of the first momentum against one candle's worth of length. And then it gets the entry and exit signals here just by doing a calculation. Like for instance, if the first momentum is greater than 0 and the second momentum is greater than 0, then we're going to go ahead and enter into a limit position to buy that Bitcoin. If it exits that, if both of these are if either of these rather are below 0, below 0 or equal to 0, then it's going to cancel that buy entry, which means two different things, I believe. We can look this up. I think the cancel means if it did enter into a trade, a limit order for that buy signal, it's going to go ahead and sell that at that point, and it's also going to cancel any outstanding. Actually, it tells me right here if I hover over it, doesn't it? It is a command to cancel, deactivate pending orders by reference to their names. So that means if it hasn't entered in, but it did put the limit order there, it's just going to cancel that limit order if the indicator goes away, and then it's going to do the reverse stuff we're trying to sell. Which means that really, when it does enter into a buying or selling position, it waits until it gets another opposite signal to exit out of that trade. So we can see that in action if I can scroll up here. Can I scroll up? What's going on? It adds all over the place. I did have a TradingView account, but I guess it's since defunct. So if I can see the graph, that'd be great, guys, but I wonder if I just reload it. But that's in essence what our trading strategy is. So let's take a look at Windows, see what's going on here, see if it has Heroku. Yes, it does. So if I now open up Command Prompt as an administrator, but does that make sense? Do the buying and selling signals make sense there, Hannah?
Yeah, great work.
Good stuff. So we have a solid understanding of exactly what to do and how to code it. It's just a matter of getting to that point. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get the Heroku to push to this project. So again, I was using, I hope it doesn't show my password. Good stuff, it doesn't. Logged in is Jared Artisan. CD my project, Git in it. Actually, I want to remove the original Git that was here. Whoops. Del.git. Sorry, I had the wrong command there. Okay, so what we're going to do is Git init, which initializes the NT GitHub repository, or the Git repository in this case, because it's not actually GitHub, but it's actually using Heroku's Git servers. We'll go ahead and push this stuff up. Unless my Git is just broken entirely, which would suck. But this push from Heroku's Git is actually going to go ahead and build the source of the application, including that package that she's on. And actually, it's going to launch this this app that we've created, which, if we go back to the Notepad++, isn't really that much. It's not actually going to even launch the right node file because we're using app.js, and we don't need a test configuration. All of this other stuff doesn't really matter. It does if you want to rank for search results. But it doesn't really matter for us. So this is going to error out. It's going to build everything, and it's going to get all the dependencies into the app container. It's going to take longer the first time because it's got to grab those dependencies off the internet, including CCXT, which I think it's doing right now. It's got to build using C++. So it's doing all that for the first time, and it's only going to do that for the first time. So instead of having to re-push or re-image a virtual machine every time we want to re-push the app. This is going to keep it in a container on a Heroku where everything's already installed. So every time after this that we push the code, it's actually going to know that all the stuff's already installed on the app container and start running our code. So that being said, it's going to fail right here, or it might not fail in the build log, which we see here. But if we go back to Heroku and see the log of the app, it's going to fail because it can't find that file from the other repo that I stole. So the build succeeded, which means it installed everything that it was looking for. But hey, right here it says cannot find module, and it's the file that it was looking for. So now if I add my change, we're going to notice a couple things. We're going to notice that we're going to notice that the build time takes significantly less time because it's already installed those dependencies like CCXT, which took a lot of time. And it's also going to go ahead and launch the app, and it's actually going to succeed. Now, the problem with the app is there's a few different problems with the app. Obviously, it's just a one function that doesn't do anything, and it's not even called, which means nothing's actually going to run on this thing. And on Heroku, it's expecting us to build a web server as an interface and serve that server over a particular port. So in the Heroku logs, we're going to notice here after it launches, I think after 60 seconds, it's going to say, hey, you don't have a web server up here, guys, and it's going to close down the app, is what's going to happen. So that deployed. You'll see here the deploy was successful in the Heroku logs, and it's going to start that app. Actually, it did start that app, and the app immediately closed, and Heroku says, well, what's going on here? And it says that the app has crashed, which is what we're expecting. So we're almost done getting our environment in place in Windows for Node here. One thing I do want to do is install these. Actually, I can just use npm install because there's a package.json there, which is going to do the exact same thing that Heroku just did when it installed those dependencies. Now, I don't know if that's going to work in Windows because we're actually not, we don't have a C++ compiler rather on this system. So I think we're going to have to install some other stuff. I think we're going to need Python. I think we're going to need Python Windows build tools and all that fun stuff. Let's see what error message we get here. We'll Google the error message, but I do expect this to fail the first time as soon as it catches up with itself. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different tricks on how to get the Linux-specific stuff to work on Windows, but there's actually a whole bunch of different precompiled binaries, and it might even tell me what precompiled binary I need to install. For instance, I might need Visual Studio build tools, which is just a Microsoft download, which you can trust. It might tell me like a short link to get there as soon as it fails here in a few minutes. Now, we won't have to wait for this whole thing to install everything again when we run it again, because some of these dependencies are already going to be installed, so we just wait here. But it's kind of like Python, isn't it, with the pip package manager, isn't it, Hannah? Oh, did I lose you? That's okay. Hope the live stream is still running. Hello, hello. You there, Hannah? Hello, hello.
You just paying attention to the whole work.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I just wanted to know if you're there. So here we go. It actually failed as I expected it to. So like I said, this is kind of like using the pip Python, the pip package manager for Python, correct? And it's actually complaining here that we can't find Python inside of the Windows environment. So that's the very first issue that we need to fix, which means I got to close out command line again. I guess in order to get the Node environment to work with those dependencies, I got to get Python for Windows. So let's go ahead and download Python 2.7 for Windows. And I think even then, we need Visual Studio build tools. Windows build tools. So we could actually do, whoops, CMD. I'm not sure if this installs Python for us, but let's try. npm install Windows build tools. This is the trick, and this took me a lot of time to find on Stack Overflow the very first time I tried to get one of these environments working in Windows, but this should do the trick. And if not, there's something else that we could do that'll fix this for us. Because I think I remember something else that... No, we don't want to install the whole IDE because that's a huge download. We just want the build tools, because the whole IDE is something like 7-9 gigabytes. That's not what we want. Windows build tools, is that installing when well, let's find out. Download Microsoft Build Tools 2015. One of these is exactly what we're looking for. So either this or this Microsoft demo are going to be exactly what we're looking for. But we don't need the whole IDE. That's the mistake I made the first couple times, and it takes a long time for me on this internet connection that's not the greatest to download 9 gigabytes worth of stuff just to try and get. Oh, here we go. This installer is installing Python. So what we need then, the command you need to get Python and the Windows build tools to get the CCXT to install is npm install windows-build-tools. That's going to download Python for you. It's going to start installation of the build tools and Python. Now, I'm not sure how long we've been running on the live stream. I think we've been here for about 40 minutes. Is that correct, Hannah?
Right now?
What's that?
Yes, Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How long do you think we've been on this session? It's about 40 minutes since we started the Windows install?
It's been 23 minutes.
What's that?
23 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. As long as we finish it within an hour, it should be good. And then we'll come back on for another shorter, hopefully, installation for the Python and Linux. Now, that being said, we can actually flip over to Linux while we're waiting for that to install. It's going to take a couple minutes. Again, we're installing that on Windows to make sure that we can build the CCXT tool as well as any other dependencies that require build tools inside Windows, which are basically Python and in Ubuntu, where these things were developed and made for. There's something called software build properties and a few other things that we can install, we will install in the next segment that help you build these things. So maybe I shouldn't use Ubuntu while I'm using Windows because it's being very, very slow. But I just wanted to prove that Python's already installed, which means that the next segment, or the next session rather, might be much quicker. Oh, hello to Val Fantasy. So just to prove that we're actually in a much better state here, let's do Python, I think dash version, and you'll see that, oh, it doesn't have any Python instead. I thought it would have a Python. Where is Python? Okay, it does have Python. But it's looking for Python 3 even though it doesn't have Python 3 installed. Now this begs the question about whether or not we want Python 3 or Python 2, 2.7 or I think 3.6. Either way, I guess what we'll do then is we'll wait for the next session to start setting up Linux. It successfully installed Python inside Windows here, so it's going to go ahead and do the rest of the build tools. I don't know what this big message is, but it says successful. So we'll just wait. Now, if this runs up to a whole hour, we'll just call it quits. The only next step that I need to do is install the dependencies for the node program that we're looking to run, which is again all listed in package.json. So right now it's going through the Visual Studio build tools on Windows to get Node up to spec. In future live streams, we're probably going to skip all of these set up the environment sessions. We'll just save the environment and refer people back to this live stream to get to these stages. Again, we might do some again just to get Python inside of Windows, but we just did that. Python's basically going to work as soon as this command's done. It'll work right now if I quit out of it, but we don't want to do that. Either way, and get Node inside of Ubuntu, which isn't there already. But we're nearing up an hour here. So if we do call quits before an hour for a 3 to 5 minute break, we'll go ahead and just let this complete while we're on break. But let's give it another 10 minutes here. It shouldn't take 10 minutes, I don't think. It's been very slow though. What does it say here? Verbose. It's doing stuff. I think for the sake of my system, we really should close one of these virtual machines. Yeah, it's at 100% CPU. Well, OBS is taking most of that. No, I think it'll be fine. So in the near future, I do plan on picking up an i7 laptop, which will be a little bit more well equipped. It'll have 32 gigabytes of RAM and much more able to run these virtual machines. But either way, we're just waiting. So I guess, Hannah, if you were to build this on your own, do you ever use Linux virtual machines, or which operating system do you normally use?
I got two Linux systems, but my brother.
Gotcha. Well, it's good to have different flavors of different operating systems and coding environments, which is why we're doing this in the first place, just to cover more ground and be more informative. So that tip about the Windows build tool, that took me, or build tools that we're installing now, it took me a very long time to figure out how to do that in the first place. And again, I know two different ways to do it. Like if I ran this program I downloaded from Microsoft, it would actually install the same stuff. But we're doing it from the command line, and it's nearly done. It's done in Python, and we just have to have faith that it's gonna catch up to itself here. That it's gonna catch up to itself. It probably will. It is being very slow, but that's okay. So I wonder if I can, I'll have to unplug my mouse just a sec. Because my mouse pad on my other computer doesn't work. There are 52 people watching our stream right now there, Hannah.
How many?
52, it says. I don't know if that's over the course of the live stream or if that's current. I think over the course we've had 164 viewers, and right now we have 52, but I don't see them all joining the chat, so I don't know what's going on. But that's pretty cool. People, if you're watching, you should definitely subscribe. I'll have more of this content to come. And we'll be sure to use the dynamic of having somebody that's a novice coder on the line for all these calls. And we'll definitely have more content surrounding crypto trading bots, maybe that Hannah's going to hire me in the future to do on the freelancing marketplace, or other contracts that I might source, as well as other fun things that I might do that's not directly related to crypto. Or other things to do with crypto that's not directly related to coding. Some of the things that my project manager and I have talked about are that we might go over how to do a whole bunch of different things using truffle.js, which is the deployment engine and I guess library for Ethereum development. So we might do how to create ERC20 token contracts. We might do how to create multi-sig contract addresses, contracts. We might do crowd sales, the different types of crowd sales that could take a few hours to do. Either way, should be a lot of fun. So people definitely subscribe. Okay, well, this is taking a really long time, an absurdly long amount of time. So I'm going to close the Ubuntu VM and see if that helps. Because it's taken a while. How long? We've been on. It actually tells us here, doesn't it? 30 minutes? Or no? That's the wrong time. 41. So it'll be this one here, the 33. So I guess we still have about 10-15 minutes. Petar, if you want to tell me, I should be, I guess, measuring this myself. Maybe I broke the stream by unplugging my mouse. I might have. Oh, it actually tells me how long we've been online here on OBS, and it says that we've been on for 43 minutes. I think the stream might have broke anyway. If the stream did break, my apologies, we'll be back. Otherwise, Hannah, what we're going to do here is we're going to let this installer continue, and then during the next set, while we work on the Ubuntu environment, what we're going to do is we're just going to run the final command, which is to install that package.json that I mentioned. Now, Heroku is going to want a file like package.json for the Python app that we deliver to Heroku. I've just not done it before. So we're going to Google that, see what it expects. Python package JSON Heroku. It's probably a good guide out there on how to do that. Python dependencies via pip, Heroku Dev Center, which is exactly what we want. I don't really know what dependencies we need as of yet because I don't have a sample to go on. The basics requirements.txt is exactly what we need, and I've seen that before, so we'll be able to recreate that. It's exactly like this, only we're going to use the library that we're looking for. So we'll come back to that after we have a 3 to 5 minute break. This is going to install, if it completes here by the time we're due for rejoining, I'll run the, again, npm install command, which is going to install from the package.json. Either way, what we're going to do is we're going to take a 3 to 5 minute break, kill the stream. I think the stream might be dead anyway, so we're going to go ahead and rejoin in 3 to 5 minutes with the next session. Hannah, thanks a lot. We'll be back.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.